Hello and welcome to La Goût des Satins. It's your first day working as a server and you don't want to be late. You've got tips to make, bistro leftovers to eat, and oh yeah, you keep having strange dreams about being eaten alive. Created by Studio Investigrave, which, love the name by the way, this is a restaurant tycoon game, an RPG, and a horror-themed visual novel all wrapped up into one delicious little crepe. You can either focus on meeting your daily cash goals while waiting tables, or you can do a bit of exploring to uncover a sinister story. Spoilers are coming your way, so this is your warning. Now, let's begin. It's 1966 in France, and you play as Rody, a down-on-his-luck but lively waiter who happened to land a job at a fancy bistro. It's owned by none other than the very talented chef Vincent. The bistro has been open for 6 years, and though it's well known for its consistent menu, critics have noticed that there are now far fewer employees working there than before. Rody's apartment is run down and messy, and on the floor are unfinished love letters and songs written for someone special. Someone that must be busy. That's why she's not answering your calls, right? But that's okay. You're going to earn as much money as possible over the next 7 days, and then you're going to take her somewhere nice to eat. Because she's your one and only. She's your Manon. Take care of the tables on day 1, earn your daily quota, and you're rewarded with a plate of green onion rolls to take home. Too bad you end up being late on day 2 due to riding your bike in the pouring rain. Vince offers you his umbrella for later, and you learn that he lives in the apartment upstairs, just above the bistro. Throughout your shift, Vince can be found in the kitchen supervising the cooks and ensuring his dishes are cooked to perfection. But no time for that. Get back to work and earn yourself a nice helping of blueberry crepes for dinner. Then return to your apartment and wind down for the evening. Maybe give Manon another call. Oh strange, the line is still busy. Maybe check out the catalog on the table. There are some nice items you can buy to help you earn more money in the bistro, and then there's an ad for a box of matches. You're not sure what they're for, but they can be purchased for a whopping 1,500 euros. Interesting. You fall asleep, then get ready for day 3. Before the customers arrive, you decide it might be a good idea to take out the trash. Unfortunately, you accidentally drop the bag and something sharp rips it in two, cutting your finger in the process. You apologize for the mess and try to explain the accident to Vince when he sees the blood and slaps you across the face. He tells you someone else will clean the mess, then tends to your hand, urging you to be more careful next time. You can't serve customers with a bloody finger after all. But he slapped you? And I don't know about you, but it kinda seemed like there's some odd tension building between these two. Awkwardness aside, throughout the rest of your shift you can talk to Vince and he'll tell you that you're doing fine as a server. You ask for leftovers from the bistro because you're a terrible cook and have no money, but Vince doesn't answer right away. Instead telling you to stick to making PB&Js, which you somehow burned the last time you tried. He also smokes in the kitchen, but compares it to the cook smoking meat, stating that it's fine. Back to waiting tables and snag that sweet squid ink pasta with shrimp as a reward. Later that night, the dreams begin. Your body is itchy and you keep scratching, but nothing works. You look down to see your body covered in markings like a pig in a butcher shop, and then knives and cleavers are pointed directly at you. It's time to wake up and begin day 4. Let's go talk to Vincent before the crowd comes in. Ask him if he's single and watch him evade the question, showing his disinterest in petty romances. He also doesn't give a clear answer when it comes to liking his job, but he says that he's dedicated his life to this place. You're also not getting the raise that you asked for, but you tell him that once you can save up enough, you'll show your girlfriend Manon just how much she means to you. This will all be worth it then. Wait on those tables, friend, but don't forget to go throw that trash out at some point. Return to the kitchen and watch Vincent berate and almost burn the face off of a chef who cooked an order incorrectly. Well then, finish the day and earn a, strawberry shortcake. Night comes and so does other nightmares. This time you're sealed in plastic like ground beef at a supermarket. On to day 5. Let's go talk to Vince. He's been reading the restaurant reviews, but apparently they don't mention you. You're not really getting that break you want either, but he does agree to give you those leftovers from the patrons, though rather manically. But then we learn the most interesting thing about Vince so far. He doesn't have any sense of taste, and his favorite food is lemons. He lost his ability to taste when he was younger. You, on the other hand, can't decide on a favorite food, but you'll eat whatever Manon is into. This time your shift ends, but you remain in the restaurant after hours. You go to the freezer and hear noises. It sounds like something being cut and torn, hacked into pieces and processed. In Vincent's office, you find a variety of things. There's a new review of the bistro, and Vince has annotated it with notes and recipe alterations in response to the reviewer's comment. There's also mention about you, but it's negative, calling you unprofessional and brash. Curiously, all the notes Vincent took about this comment towards you have been scribbled out. There's also a dusty photo of a man and woman, the woman looking strikingly similar to Vincent. In his trash can, however, is a crumpled up photo of Vince and someone that looks very familiar to Rody. The photo has been tossed in the trash with the other love letters and notes, all signed with the letter M. Let's leave his office for now and grab that sweet fly-infested croque madame to end the day. Dream about being cooked alive in an oven, and off to day 6 you go. This day is relatively uneventful unless you decide to take a little peek-see into that hole in the back part of the restaurant. You'll get a nice look at Vincent's eye creepily staring back at you if you do. Your reward for meeting your quota is a fresh lemon tart. You come back home, only this time your phone is ringing. Excitedly you answer, hoping it's Manon, but instead, Vince is on the other line. He's inviting you to a dinner party tonight, only surprise, you're actually meant to be working the event for him instead. You go to the kitchen and bring out the appetizers for his guests. At Vince's apartment, you notice a painting by Francisco Goya of Saturn devouring his son, then St. Francis Borgia helping a dying impenitent. There's also a dusty cello and some awards for culinary excellence along the bookshelves. In the kitchen, there's a sharp knife on the counter, the appetizers, and a lemon tree, the only plant Vincent has bothered to keep alive. You chat it up with the guest, telling one that Vincent's food tastes self-absorbed, like he's not really making it for anyone but himself. With the rest of the dialogue options, you learn that Vince has started dating someone, and at this point it's pretty obvious who, and then you find out from an old college classmate of Rody's that he flunked out of college, failing his hospitality program. Let's go to the bathroom for a quick getaway, talk to Vince, who once again acts evasive about Manon, then head to the hallway to find an untitled painting by Franz Snyder. In Vincent's bedroom, it appears that both sides of his bed have been slept in, and there's also another painting, but of a burning home with no signature. Look out the bedroom window and you'll see an eerie and mysterious figure down below. Vince will then catch you in his room as you're rummaging through his bedside table, finding a key in the process, and you'll learn the party ended early because something unexpected came up. The night ends and your final dream is of Vince eating you alive on a dinner plate. Then the final day approaches. If you stick to waiting tables like a good little server, the game ends with you quitting after tasting some of the leftover grilled hanger steak Vince has offered you. You call Manon to make dinner plans, and you call and you keep calling, but she never answers. Giving a big fuck you to the bistro guest, you can also use the key you found in Vincent's room to enter the locked freezer. The light from the doorway shines on a meat grinder, and it's there that you find Manon's locket, covered in blood. Vincent sneaks up behind you and renders you unconscious. How this turn of events ends depends on whether or not you decided to buy and equip those matches out of the catalog. If you didn't bring them with you, Vincent will toy with you before ultimately killing you off and serving you up on a platter. If you did bring the matches, however, far more of the story is now accessible to you. You manage to burn the ropes you're bound in, then bust out of the freezer, only to find the grilled hanger steak on the kitchen counter. The plate that's actually a grilled slice of your girlfriend, part of her stomach, to be precise. Vincent exits his office after hearing your escape and bites your ear off. You fight with him, shoving him away as you learn that Vincent doesn't actually eat people routinely, nor serve them to his guest. No, he butchered Manon for Rody to eat, to enjoy. It wasn't for Vincent, but for Rody, and since Rody never told Vince his favorite food, he resorted to making his own unique dish. Vince doesn't eat people, he says, can't stand the thought of eating because everything tastes the same. It tastes like nothing, which makes him sick. But then he has a thought. Maybe you'd taste different. Your raw ear was bland and tasteless, but perhaps if you were cooked properly. But why Manon, and why Rody? Vince doesn't eat any of his employees, instead firing the one that had burned his dish. He had met Manon just a short while before Rody had asked for the job. There was no plan back then, but when Rody showed such desperation and sacrifice for Manon, Vince decided then. Rody loved her so much, and she didn't love him in return. Not to the same level of intensity, at least. And Vince saw this as an opportunity. He had been told he doesn't cook with love, but maybe this time would be different. And maybe by eating Rody, someone filled with such desperation and love, he would be able to taste again. Having heard enough, you run to Vincent's office and grab the broken wine bottle, and then you attack. Vince is gravely injured but still alive, his eyes following you. Go into the freezer for cooking oil, then set the bistro and Vincent ablaze. As La Goutte de Satan burns to the ground, Rody says he should eat something, and then the credits roll. There's one final scene with this ending. Manon is talking to Rody and says that she doesn't think she can keep doing this. It's all too much and not enough in all the wrong places. Nothing happens. It's not just the apartment or the dates. She feels that Rody ruins any ounce of progress he's made while trying to make her happy. She doesn't think he's ready for a relationship. She says he's killing himself over for her, and she can't have him spending money on someone he doesn't need. She says that she will see Rody around, but we know that this is actually their final goodbye. I truly enjoyed the story of this game because going into it, I really thought like Rody that Vincent was just eating all the staff and feeding them to the customers, and that's why the bistro was always short-staffed. But the motive of wanting to taste again and wanting to improve the taste of his cooking by literally feeding a loved one to someone else was a pretty unique concept in my opinion. The bistro's name means the maw or the mouth of Saturn in French, and if you recall, there's a painting in Vince's apartment of Saturn devouring his son. So the bistro almost symbolizes the god figure and Manon the victim being eaten. It's a bit hard to see the painting in the apartment, but it's pretty eerie looking, and Francisco Goya actually never titled this painting. It was one that was drawn on the walls of his estate and was later recovered after his death. The true meaning behind it has been interpreted in different ways, and Britannica states that the painting illustrates the myth of the Roman god Saturn, who, fearing that his children would overthrow him, ate them. Taking the myth as a starting point, the painting may be about God's wrath, the conflict between old age and youth, or Saturn as time devouring all things. The god's wide-eyed stare suggests madness and paranoia, and he seems unself-conscious in carrying out his horrific act. Vincent is well aware of what he is doing, but perhaps this painting references back to the insanity and irrationality of his actions. Cannibalism won't actually bring his taste back nor make his food taste any better, but maybe it was also meant to be more literal, with Vincent seeing this painting as inspiration and actually devouring others to improve and remain in his place of power as a renowned chef. The painting of Saint Borgia is also dark and depicts the saint performing an exorcism on a dying impenitent, or someone who doesn't feel shame or regret about their actions or sins. The demons that possess the man surround his deathbed, and it seems to foreshadow Vincent's fate in the ending in which you burn the bistro down. The Snyder painting is a bit shocking because it presents a dead deer before it will be prepared for a meal. The full painting, not visible in the game, also depicts a decapitated boar's head, a lobster, and then a parrot and a cat fighting on the windowsill. Snyder liked the juxtaposition of death and life in his works, and when considering the whole picture, it all seems to be very telling of the dead plate story. With the living Vince and Rody fighting as the innocent Manon is dead and being prepared for Roddy's meal. Then there's the painting in Vince's bedroom. It's untitled, and it's a house being burnt to the ground. More foreshadowing of the bistro's fate, yes, but I wondered if it could also be a glimpse into Vincent's past. He said he lost his sense of taste when he was younger, and though there are some illnesses that can cause this, I found that brain injuries can sometimes result in permanent loss of taste. And while I'm not saying that all people who have suffered from brain injuries become serial killers, studies have shown that traumatic brain injuries can be associated with increased risk of violence. With one article noting of 239 eligible murderers in the study, 21.34% had a definite or suspected head injury. Letting myself get a little inventive with Vincent's backstory, I could see an accidental house fire killing his parents and resulting in a head injury while he's trying to escape. The resulting injury ruined his sense of taste, but wanting to follow in his family's footsteps, he was committed to becoming a chef and owning a well-known restaurant, despite it all. He put aside all frivolous things, no longer playing music, painting, or caring about relationships, dedicating his life to his work, which slowly began to consume him, along with the frustrations of not being able to taste his meals. He pored over restaurant reviews, using the commentary to change the recipes when needed since he couldn't rely on taste. The bistro became everything until it wasn't about fulfilling a legacy at all, but about remaining the best chef of his time. The Saturn of cooking within France, who needed to devour in order to remain at the top. I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything in this video, but especially about the scene from Vincent's apartment window. There's a silhouette that looks like Manon with her long hair and dress, and only a pair of bright red eyes are seen in the night. Could this have been a hallucination of Rody's after too little sleep and too many nightmares? His dreams have been pretty prophetic, and maybe this was his subconscious telling him what he already suspected happened to her. Or did Manon escape the freezer on the night of the party, only to be recaptured by Vincent? He did end the party early due to something unexpected, and living upstairs from the bistro, it would have been all too easy to excuse himself from his guest and check on her while you were snooping around in his room. We hear the grotesque sounds of butchering in the freezer on the same night before the party, but it could be possible that he is just processing meat like the large slabs of beef we see hanging up. Or he had begun butchering Manon while she was still alive. He could have silenced her in some way, muffling her screams, then upon realizing that she had escaped, tracked her back down and returned her to the bistro. This would be particularly heartbreaking, as she would have almost been free. But again, I want to know what you think. What happened in Vincent's past, and just what or who was the strange silhouette out of his window? Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Maybe watch this bitter bite on a real murder ballad that also occurred in the 1960s. And as always, thanks for watching.